What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, disaster struck, just the jobs market overall, which of course then bled over into gaming, with one major publisher announcing a bunch of layoffs, as well as them cutting, it seems like, future projects and ending support for one major title that I was a little surprised to see happen, but we'll go over all of that here today. Also, we did have that indie showcase yesterday that took place, giving us updates on current titles, as well as announcing a bunch of new ones, and we'll also be taking a look at a recent interview with Satya, Nadella, the CEO at Microsoft, who of course seems to be calling all the shots there for Xbox, and some of his thoughts on the current state of Xbox and what looks to be the future with, of course, next generation. All of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with some retro titles. Well, kind of retro, PC retro titles. This from GOG and their preservation program. This you can see over on their official account. There's a list of games here that they went ahead and put out, and these are all titles that have been added into their preservation program, and as they say, they're now being maintained by GOG to ensure they remain compatible and playable on modern systems in their best form, with fixes made whenever we could improve something. And you can see from the list like Tomb Raider Game of the Year, Spore Collection, Clive Barker's Undying, Splinter Cell, like the original Splinter Cell from back in the day, Hitman Code 47, Battle Chest 4000. It's really cool just to see a lot of these games get these updates to be compatible with even like current builds, current monitor resolution. With that is a big deal. Aspect ratio and resolution, for example, with Splinter Cell, the first one here, they did go back and make fixes as well as lock the game to 60 hertz, because above that, you run into some of these games occasionally, the physics are all messed up. So they've done a lot of work and patches for things that needed it. Otherwise, though, GOG is DRM free, so it's a good place to buy games like this for PC, especially if you're building up I guess a PC retro collection at this point. I mean, yeah, Splinter Cell is from the early 2000s, but now you really think about it, that was more than 20 years ago, so I guess we could put that in the retro category. Also, we did indeed have that new Battle Royale that was released for Battlefield make the rounds online, and it definitely blew up on Twitch. Hundreds of thousands of people were watching, and this was posted over on PlayStation Blog, where they say, Redsec is Battlefield's first ever free-to-play Battle Royale game, and it's launching today. But it's not just Battle Royale. This experience includes Gauntlet, a round-based elimination mode that samples from the franchise's rich multiplayer history, as well as Redsec's Portal community creations and ever-evolving sandbox from our community developers. I did hop in for a couple of matches before recording, and it's definitely very different from Warzone. It kind of has resurgence sort of in the beginning. You have a second chance, so if you get taken out early on, you can still come back. Your teammates can still revive you and stuff, but it does have destruction elements, which is pretty cool to be able to destroy things around you to maybe change the battlefield a bit there. But it's not like fully static as I see with some of these other Battle Royale games. You still have missions, you can do all kinds of like airstrikes and stuff, so there is a lot going on here, but it does have that Battlefield kind of feel to it, so it is a bit different than something like Call of Duty or Fortnite or Apex Legends. But interesting to keep an eye on this and see how it does for EA going forward. As they had mentioned, 100 million players. I mean, this might be the gateway to it, mostly because, well, it's free. Oh, and it looks like you're going to want to clear some space on your SD card or internal storage of your Switch 2 for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This we can see over on the store page. The game, of course, is coming out November 6th, so we'll see that come out next week. And people noticed on the store page, it is 42.8 gigabytes. Some cards, apparently in these retail stores in Japan, are labeling it 44 gigabytes, but either way, it's more than 40 gigabytes. That feels like a lot for a first-party Nintendo game there, and I know they are partnering there with other companies as well, but this is sort of the reality Nintendo will face as they go forward, since they're targeting higher resolutions, and assets are going to have to be, like, for example, higher resolution textures and stuff. All that's going to work into just larger assets, and I'm curious what happens if a first-party Nintendo game ends up over 64 gigabytes, since they're putting everything on the cartridge. How exactly do they figure that out? That's something maybe we don't see this generation, but if we do, I'll be really interested to see how Nintendo solves that one. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with ID at Xbox. Now, this was a presentation that was put on by IGN in collaboration, of course, with Xbox and Microsoft. Here, though, they did announce updates and new releases for a bunch of different smaller indie games. Now, we're going to start here at the top. This was all shown not only on IGN's channel, but also with an update over on Xbox's Newswire site. So they put everything in alphabetical order, which is interesting. I'm just going to play some of the footage from IGN's presentation here as we go line by line with all the different games that were revealed. Starting with 33 Immortals. This is the Pride and Temperance update. So they say it's going to add 2 new weapons, new systems, progression caps raised, there's new rewards. That, of course, is already available now. You can check that one out. Then we have Agni Village of Calamity. This one was kind of interesting. It's an Indonesian survival horror game, and you investigate a cursed village. So, it fits in, obviously, kind of like this spooky, sort of scary game. It's just coming soon to Xbox and PC. That one is Xbox Play Anywhere. Something we saw pop up here and there as we went through this presentation. Big focus for Microsoft right now, of course. Then we have Aphelion. It's a cinematic sci-fi adventure game starring astronauts, and they crash landed on a mysterious planet. Sometime in 2026 on Xbox Series X, S, and PC. Then we have Oasis. It's an ultimate dungeon brawler with physics-based combat. That's 2026. Darkwood 2. It's a sequel to the survival horror hit Darkwood. New characters, world, standalone story. That is coming soon to Xbox Series X, S, and PC. Daisy, that's Badlands. So I've always looked at this as Days. I don't know, is it Days or Daisy? I need someone who's very familiar with this game to tell me in the comments below. But it is an expansion, of course, featuring the largest official map yet. And as I'm saying, Xbox Series X and S, this, of course, being an Xbox presentation, you have to look in to see what other systems are supported here. We have Dome Keeper. That's a roguelike action mining game that's coming out December 9th. Xbox Series, PC, and cloud. Also an Xbox Play Anywhere title. Don't Fret. That's a first-person psychological horror as a guitar. Oh, okay, because it's Fret. That makes sense. Clever. That's coming Xbox Series X and XS and PC. We have Egging On. It's a challenging platformer inspired by Getting Over It. That's coming out November 6th, 2025. Invincible Versus, we had seen this prior, but this is that 3v3 tag fighting game, of course, based on Invincible, with Robot and Monster Girl both being shown off here. There's a closed alpha, November 21st to the 24th, that coming out sometime in 2026. We have Monsters Are Coming, that's Rockin' Road. It's an arcade-style survival action game against a bunch of different hordes. November 20th, 2025. Mouse PI for Hire, we've gone over that. That, of course, got pushed into March. That's the 19th, 2026. Over the Hill, it's an off-road driving game from the Art of Rally team that's coming out 2026. Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf, that's early 2026. We have Puppergeist, it's a rhythm and visual novel hybrid. Okay, apparently a witch is searching for her dog. Coming out 2026. Routine, which I think looks really cool. Kind of this almost found footage look, sort of. It's very grainy, CRT-like. It's a first-person sci-fi horror game that's set on the moon and an 80s vision of the future. It's launching December 4th, 2025. Real shame on that one, by the way. Same day as Metroid Prime 4. One of the games I thought looked awesome here, of course, and it's coming out same day. Great. A sledding game, multiplayer snow hangout with ragdoll physics and proximity chat. That's just coming soon. Super Bowl. So there's a 3v3 neon street sports brawler. There's hero abilities, I guess, to it. It's available right now. You can check it out. We have Task Time, TCG Card Shop Simulator, Ungodly, and Vampire Survivors Anti-Chamber DLC plus free updates. So it's a new mode with Balatro-style bullet hell cards. That's just available soon. Xbox Series X, S, PC, Cloud, Game Pass compatible. So overall, a lot of indie titles, a lot of updates, some really interesting stuff. Again, I think Routine was the big game for me coming out of this, and naturally comes out the same day as Metroid Prime 4, as I mentioned. But it being a showcase based around, yes, indie titles means there's a lot of creative stuff there, and there certainly was. Let me know if there's anything there that stood out to you, though, as we went through it. Next up, let's talk about what else this year but layoffs. That's been a constant occurrence now, really over the last 24 months plus maybe, but certainly from some of the larger companies right now in the world announcing tens of thousands of layoffs at a time. In fact, yesterday word came out that UPS was laying off like 40-something thousand people. I saw that, I was like, wow. And then you look over, here comes Amazon laying off 14,000 people, and yes, that does include many people in the gaming division. This we can see over on Bloomberg. from Jason Schreier says Amazon is gutting its video game division as part of a sweeping layoff that will eliminate more than 14,000 corporate jobs. The company didn't say how many video game jobs we cut, but noted in a memo Tuesday that significant role reductions would fall on its offices in Irvine and San Diego, as well as its central publishing division. The company will reduce the amount of work it does on big budget titles, particularly surrounding massive multiplayer online games or MMOs. The company's Montreal studio will continue development of the strategy game March of Giants. Amazon will also continue to release casual and AI-focused games for the cloud service, according to the memo. The San Francisco-based external studio Crystal Dynamics is still working on a new Tomb Raider game. I wanted to make sure that was clear and pointed out, since that, of course, would be some concern. And the UK-based Maverick Games continues to work on a racing title. I also want to point out that in 2023, Amazon announced that it would be developing a Lord of the Rings MMO in partnership with Embracer Group, and we don't really know if that's affected by any of this. There's been no comment at all from Amazon on it. However, we do have comment on New World. As it appears, that's coming to an end. This is over on their website with an update saying, after 4 years of steady content updates and a major new console release, we've reached a point where it is no longer sustainable to continue supporting the game with new content updates. The recently launched Season 10 and Nighthaven update will serve as the final content release for New World on PC and consoles. It is only after much consideration that we've reached this decision. Now, they didn't mention the game being sunset or shuttered, nothing like that. In fact, they say that the servers will remain online through 2026, and they've gone back and made some updates and expansions, looks like, just free for people who have the game. This is a title that got added to PlayStation Plus not too long ago, from what I remember. So that was kind of weird. It felt sort of like a knee-jerk reaction. And then, of course, this happening right as these job cuts are being announced. Okay, that all then adds up. Now, the big thing to consider here is as Amazon's making these cuts at the corporate jobs level and stuff, and as we're seeing with the gaming divisions, they did talk a lot about AI. It's revolutionary, it's going to change the world, and yeah, they're also investing like more than $100 billion into it. But the thing I keep noticing about a lot of these companies, they're going all in on AI. They also keep cutting a lot of jobs. Yes, to save money, to invest the money into AI, but also, I wonder, you invest that much money into AI, you also want to show that it can do what you hope that it can eventually get to, right, with all this investing. So we figure this would happen at some point if AI did get to a certain level, and that is the concern right now. It's like, wow, okay, well, Amazon cutting back at the corporate level. There's also discussion of them cutting back in like the warehouse and shipment fulfillment areas because you have a lot of robotics and you have AI filling in for a lot of that stuff. And then you hear about a lot of these big corporations that are kind of eliminating entry work, and that is pretty important for someone who is just entering the workforce. Yes, to get coffee and to do a lot of spreadsheets and boring work, but to get your foot in the door and eventually build your way up to, being at least somewhere in management or at the top, sure. But with AI coming in and solving a lot of those gaps as it is and filling in, it's not a lot of places to be able to get like an entry point into some of these big companies. That is the concern right now. Not necessarily eliminating some of the top jobs, eliminating a lot of the bottom jobs where you would start out. So it is, it's a little concerning right now out there with the job market and, of course, with gaming, as we're focused on here. Definitely seeing a lot of the fallout from all of this. There's a lot of concern around AI coming in and filling in just development overall. And now you see that with just the basic job market right now, sweeping job market. It's gonna be an interesting couple of years coming up, and this is all happening very, very fast, and a lot of people are certainly panicking right now online, and I would say we're right up against the point of alarm bells going off. So I guess we'll see what happens as we go along with probably just more layoffs constantly being announced. My question, of course, then becomes, I don't know who you're selling to if a lot of people don't have jobs to then buy the stuff from you. It's very weird. So Amazon thinks they're gonna be able to double in size over the next like 5 or 6 years without hiring more people. We'll see how that goes, because I don't know how you double in size if you just kind of run out of customers to sell to. I guess they'll cross that. Maybe AI can buy from them. That's AI solves a lot of stuff. Maybe that's the answer. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Satya Nadella, who, it's pretty clear, is steering the ship right now for Xbox, with Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty kind of along for the ride. And he did have a recent interview where he went on the show TBPN and talked quite extensively about Windows, AI, and what exactly is happening here with Xbox and the future with next generation. So we can see this. This is transcribed over on VGC, where Satya Nadella says, remember, the biggest gaming business is the Windows business. To us, gaming on Windows, and of course, Steam has built a massive marketplace on top of it and done a very successful job. So to us, the way we are thinking about gaming is, first of all, we're now the largest publisher. And yeah, I mean, they are. They've bought publishers. That kind of does springboard them ahead a bit, especially after Activision Blizzard, but yeah, that's a true statement. So he says, so therefore, we want to be a fantastic publisher, similar in approach to what we did with Office. We're going to be everywhere, on every platform. So we want to make sure, whether it's consoles, whether it's the PC, whether it's mobile, whether it's cloud gaming or the TV, we just want to make sure the game is enjoyed by gamers everywhere. We want to do innovative work on the system side, on the console and on PC. It's kind of funny that people think about the console and PC as two different things. We built the console because we wanted to build a better PC, which could then perform for gaming. And so I kind of want to revisit some of that conventional wisdom. This, while he's kind of talking about the future with next generation, going on to say, most importantly, the game business model has to be where we have to invent maybe some new interactive media as well, because after all, gaming's competition is not other gaming. Gaming's competition is short form video. Wait a minute, we've heard that before, haven't we? Oh yeah, Matt Booty just said it in a recent interview that TikTok is their biggest competitor. You know, short form video. It's interesting again that Satya Nadella is kind of just sort of stepping over PlayStation. It's like, PlayStation's sort of, you know, like minor league stuff. We're going to the majors here. We're looking at TikTok and I guess even YouTube and other places that's just pulling attention away from gaming. How do we get into those mediums as well? And he's talking about different interactive mediums. It makes me think about them going, how can we make more, I guess, games that are less interactive to a degree? Because the biggest thing, and it's so difficult to compete with this from a gaming standpoint, gaming needs a controller most times. I know there's motion controlled games and ones where you can use your phone to play it and stuff, sure, but there is a controller. That is a barrier of entry. And Microsoft maybe realized that at least at the top. You know, again, the executives that aren't necessarily playing a lot of the games or aren't really in this world, and they're like, how do we do different forms of media that is more interactive, but not necessarily so much so where they have to buy a controller, because that's kind of the thing that's in the way. It definitely makes it so it's less pick up and play than here's a remote, press a button, okay, TikTok's now going, or okay, YouTube or a movie or something is now going. So that's where Microsoft is currently. How to get people apparently away from TikTok, stop them from doom scrolling, and instead get them to play Halo Campaign Evolved. I don't know, we'll see how that works out. If anything, it does appear they're looking to be everywhere possible. Kind of already know that. But also leaning more and more into the idea of blending console and PC in the living room. And that is something I would like to see, because right now, Windows in the living room isn't a great experience. We talk about the controller being a barrier of entry. You get like a keyboard and a mouse out, it's over. And before we go to the comments of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, if you're buying Metroid Prime 4, which system are you playing it on day one? Look at that, Switch 2, 80%. Switch 1, 20%. And look, this is going to be a game that I'm sure is going to help sell the Switch 2 outright, because it should be, even though it's a Switch 1 game, I understand, Retro is very good at showing off what different systems can do, especially if they have even a higher roof like they do here with the Switch 2 versus the Switch 1. I mean, I'm 4K 60. With a Metroid Prime 4 game that's looked good visually in all these different trailers, but native on the screen is going to look awesome. 1080p, 120 frames per second. That'll just feel really smooth. The mouse controls. And here's the other part. We really haven't seen that much about this game. That's the thing that's so intriguing to me. I have to imagine there will be some sort of, I'll say 20-minute direct that's really going to dive into what this game can do. And I would love to see them put a demo out there. I think that'd be great. People were mentioning a rating for a demo, but that appears to be really for an event like a Gamescom. But it would be cool if the demo that they had rated even for Gamescom, they go, okay, you guys can play. It's like 30 minutes or so. It's an initial level or so, and you get a feel for it and see how it looks. That would be really, really cool heading into the holidays. Metroid, I think, just needs the biggest push it can get right now with this sort of a release, especially after going the entire generation of the Switch before it's inevitably coming out in the following generation with the Switch 2. Either way, I'll be picking it up immediately, physically, and apparently I have to get RGT won as well because he is correct. He won the bet technically because Nintendo did not say that the game sold 3 million copies after the initial time frame that we agreed to. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Melon, who says, I didn't even consider the idea of Copilot on the next Xbox. Not really comfortable with the idea of my console yapping at me. Hope it doesn't try to advertise things to me. Well, if it's going to have Windows, as they keep saying, it's absolutely going to have Copilot because that is really getting baked into Windows now to where when you first turn the Windows on, you install it, you have to go in and turn it off and de-bloat and do a lot of stuff. And that should be a big concern for people right now. The game console, one of the beauty of it is you get it brand new, set it up, turn it on. You don't have the Windows bloat. Like you don't have Teams. Unless you get like the ROG Ally X or whatever, and you look and you're like, why does this thing have Teams? It's a gaming handheld, but nonetheless, that is the biggest advantage of a console. It's there for gaming, and yes, multimedia and stuff, you can stream and other things, but that is the primary function. If you have a multi-purpose device like a Windows console, it's like, how much Windows do they really put into it? Because you're right, once the Copilot starts talking back to you, and then you realize, oh wow, this is gathering a lot of my data, and that's why it's advertising paper towels, because I was just in the kitchen saying, I need to get more paper towels, and somehow that console knew. What a coincidence. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you want to check out the latest episode of the Spawncast, where we went over just the week in games that happened this past weekend. I'll leave it right below it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.